From SF Land, this is Dorking Out, a podcast for people who love to dork out about movies, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I'd blow your head off if someone paid me enough. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hey, friend.
We are dorking out about 1997's Grosse Pointe Blank, which was requested by not just one, but two listeners. Binksy from Fun Size Happy Hour and Elise from Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks, or formerly Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks.
It's Annalise. It's Annalise.
Annalise,
and
sorry.
Yeah. They just retired that podcast, but they're Halos and Heathens on YouTube, and they contribute on YouTube occasionally. So you guys go and subscribe to them, Halos and Heathens, and then Fun Size Happy Hour for the podcast for Binksy.
Right. We kind of casually mentioned Grosse Pointe Blank in an earlier episode, and apparently that was a trigger for quite a few listeners who were like, oh, you need to talk about Grosse Pointe Blank. So it moved up to the top of the list.
That's all it takes, you guys.
Yeah, that's all it takes. So if you haven't seen Grosse Pointe Blank, I don't know what you're doing listening to this episode, but it came out in 1997, and it stars John Cusack and Minnie Driver, Alan Arkin, Joan Cusack, always awesome, and Dan Aykroyd. And it's also known as kind of the, like, Hitman Goes to High School reunion black comedy. Did you see this one in the theater, Margo?
Yes, I did. And at the time, for a good 10 or 15 years, I would watch just about any John Cusack movie produced.
Same.
I thought he was adorable. Everybody drink. He just seemed like the perfect guy, my type. He's like the epitome of my type.
Yeah.
If you think, yeah. And I thought Minnie Driver, I loved her in the other things she was in. Dan Aykroyd's in this movie. Jeremy Piven's in this movie. There's a lot of people in here like I genuinely like. I think they're funny and they're watchable. And I love the dark concept of it, of a high school reunion, because I was going through mine at the time, like a 10-year and stuff. And so I went with my two very good friends at the time. Only one of them became a Trumper, so we don't talk anymore. But anyway, the three of us sat in the theater, and there's one point, you and I'll get to it, they were begging me to leave because they were so tired of this movie. And I was feeling like I'm not connecting with it. I'm not sure quite why. But yeah, I want to hear about your experience with it.
Yeah, I saw this one in the theater too. And very similar to you, I was about a year out from my 10-year reunion. So I feel like I was the target audience for this. And coincidentally, like a week later, Romy and Michelle's high school reunion came out. Right. And I was like, oh, if you believe in that sort of thing, the universe is telling me to make sure to go to my reunion, I guess. And it was the same thing. Like, I super love John Cusack. I think he's really, really cute. I had a crush on him always. You know, I saw all of his movies, so I felt like this is one of those movies that I just had to see. And then I saw it, and I had the unpopular opinion with my group of friends, which was I was very mixed on this movie, and in this rewatch still mixed. I really like the high school reunion stuff and really hate the Hitman stuff. I hate it. I hate it.
Well, so I'm reading all the trivia, and there's 4 screenwriters, which is always, oh boy.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
It's a red flag. And the director had said, actually, we felt like we were filming 3 different movies, and we just used the best takes for each one. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what it fucking is.
It's exactly what it feels like.
Yes, because there's a romance, there's a hitman thing, and then there's the reunion. Yeah. It's and we're all supposed to think that it's all blended together. And my friends, when we got to the part where they finally get to the high school reunion, it takes forever to get there. Mm-hmm. And this movie is only an hour and a half, but I feel like it feels like 2 hours to me.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of filler in here. But when Minnie Driver and John Cusack are up in the stands or the auditorium, and they're just kind of talking back and forth, my friends Marie and Jackie were like, please, let's go. We got to go. We're so fucking bored. Please. And I was like, there's 15 minutes left. No, we got to stick with this.
That's so funny because I actually put in my notes, that's one of the few scenes in the movie I actually really like.
Me too.
Like, first of all, I love that version of Let My Love Open the Door.
Yeah.
I really like that song. I super love that version. It's like one of my faves. It goes on a lot of playlists. It's one of those things. And they're just like having a real conversation that maybe people would have. And so it feels like a real moment. And John Cusack and Minnie Driver, I texted you this before. They have really, really, really great chemistry. Like they really probably should have made like a series of romantic comedies. They are really good together. Like they look good together. They have a good banter. Like I read that there was like some improvising a bit on the set, and they clearly were very good at that because their stuff together is very fun. But there's like an underlying current of like, you hurt me and I don't know if I trust you. And that stuff feels really good and real too. But like the hitman stuff, just every time it happened, it just pulled me back out.
Okay, I'm going to say something really inappropriate, but
do it.
They were totally fucking each other. They had to have been.
Right?
They have so much chemistry. I mean that in a good way. I mean, good for them. But I honestly think, like, why didn't they get married in 1997 and just make a bunch of movies and have kids together? Because they're smart and they're great actors and they have great chemistry. I love seeing them together.
Yeah.
I don't know what personality types they are. Maybe that would be a terrible idea. But like in my head, like, why didn't they do that? I mean, they looked so great together.
I think there are just certain stars that when you see them together, you're like, I 100% believe that they are actually like,
yes.
First of all, I don't care how many headlines I read that say that Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper are not together and that they haven't seen each other since the Oscars. I think that's a fucking lie. I am 100% that they are convinced that they are in love. When I saw The Wedding Singer, you could not convince me that Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler were not in love.
Right.
I thought they were so cute in that movie. And I was like, they're in love. Or if you watch an old movie like the Thin Man series, I was like, William Powell and Myrna Loy are totally together. I don't care that they're actually married to other people.
Right.
Like, there's just some people that have that kind of chemistry. And I think John Cusack and Minnie Driver had that kind of... Maybe they still do. I don't know. Maybe they should make another movie together, but not a sequel to this.
Yeah, no. I think they absolutely should be. I mean, I that's at one point I just started thinking like, yeah, they should have gotten married and like just started producing stuff together. Like maybe that would have been a good. I don't know. She's done a lot of cool different things. I like her very much.
I do too.
And Debbie is not a great part, and she makes her cool.
Yeah.
Like it's not a well. I guess that's why I had to do all that improvising to give her something to do.
Yeah.
Because she's and then I had to tell you because this is my super shallow thing, but costuming is really important when you're establishing a character. Debbie, so he goes back to let's just do the plot. Let's take it back to Martin Blank is our lead, and it's John Cusack, and he's a hitman for hire. And Joan Cusack, his sister, plays his office secretary,
and she's great as always.
As always. And then Dan Aykroyd plays a fellow assassin, and he wants to start a union for assassins.
Which, by the way, isn't a bad idea. Like the hitman stuff isn't like it's so terrible. It just doesn't fit with the rest of the movie for me. But anyway, go ahead.
It's not executed very well. It's like, and then there's a scene where I love Alan Arkin as. I love him anytime. I will watch Alan Arkin. I've always got space for Alan Arkin. But his scenes of being the psychiatrist that's afraid of his client.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be funnier. I don't know why. It's all of a sudden I was like, to me, I thought like David Chase saw this scene and then said, hold my beer. I think I know how to fix this. And 2 years later, we get The Sopranos.
And that's much better.
And it's much better. Everyone. I just feel like the script just isn't sharp enough, or they're just going in way too many directions.
Well, and there were these movies. There was a lot of these in the 90s. A lot of like, hey, hitmen, assassins, spies, criminals.
Right.
They're just like us. Like it's like the new Us Weekly feature. Criminals are just like us.
Right. That moral relativism.
Yes, exactly. And so I just found it very distracting from the part of the movie that I really was enjoying. Continue.
Yeah. So Joan Cusack tells him, oh, you have a high school reunion. He doesn't want to go, but then there's a job where he's supposed to give somebody a heart attack to make it look like they die that way. and he screws that up, so he has to shoot the guy, and then basically he has to go to Detroit anyway that weekend.
What a
to kill some,
coincidence!
What a coinkydink to go that weekend. And then Grosse Pointe actually is a really nice section outside of Detroit. It's a really high-end area, but that's where he's from, Grosse Pointe High. And so he goes back for his 10-year high school reunion, and there's a couple of guys that are after him. It's Hank Azaria.
Oh yeah, and shit. I don't
K. Todd Freeman. Is he like, are they together?
That's it. You're so smart.
Are they? And they work for the government, or they work for?
They're FBI agents, I believe.
Okay.
But they've been tipped that John Cusack is going to do something, so they're kind of just waiting.
And they follow him all over the area. And then we find out that he left for the army just before, like the night of his prom. Did he leave the day of his prom? I mean, but he stands up his girlfriend for the prom. And that's Minnie Driver. And we find out that she's a disc jockey for Grosse Pointe, like just the city, not Detroit. But okay. And it's not very safe. Like her radio station, like she could look out and see anybody. Anybody can watch her. I worry about her safety. But because anybody could walk in and out of there.
Is that a thing?
No, it's not a thing.
That you would be like facing the road. It doesn't seem very soundproof.
Right. And I had friends when I lived in the Bay Area. I was in radio and TV. I'm a student, and I knew some disc jockeys, and they said like women disc jockeys get the weirdest fans.
For sure.
They really do get hassled like almost instantly that you start. So you would never have somebody there like anybody could just easily get to. I mean, it's just ugh. It's a terrible idea. But anyway, I'm off. So here we go.
Yeah.
So we show up and it's Debbie, and you have Minnie Driver, who's like 22, 23. She's tall, thin, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Great skin, cool hair, looks good in anything. And you dress her like she's selling insurance. Like she, except for the skirt, like she wears a cute skirt in one scene, but she's supposed to be this rock DJ who plays vinyl, and she's really cool. And she wears the drabbiest outfits ever.
She's dressed just like John Cusack. They're like dressed the same. Like black pants.
Right.
Like maybe like a colored, but he's wearing like a tie or whatever, obviously. But like she's wearing like a shirt and then like a black suit jacket. I'm like, she's dressed like she's a hitman. Is she a hitman?
And I'm like, but she dresses, but that to me, it's like, it looks like she's at a convention in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And they are having a drinks thing after. So she's like, okay, it's day to evening. I'll take off the white button-down shirt and I'll put on this ugly green T-shirt. And then I'll wear this jacket roguishly over my shoulder half the time.
It's so weird. That part is super weird.
Like she wouldn't wear a hot dress. Like this is a date that she hasn't had in 10 years. She's attracted to the guy.
Yeah.
You know, everyone else is going to get dressed up.
You think she'd bring out the stops, right?
Yeah. Like really, look slamming. And the second I remember in the movie, they're like, that's what she's fucking wearing. I was so furious. I was so just like, because that's what I would wear every day to work. I worked at that was my, that's like, it's so drabby. And like, why do they have her dressed like that? And I'm like, still, look, she's gorgeous and she looks great and everything. Yeah. But and he only tells a few people that he's a hitman when they ask him.
He seems like the worst hitman. I'm like, dude tells everybody, it seems like.
He doesn't blend in well either. He's just always kind of stands out. And there's scenes, like you said, like there's scenes where they blow up a mini mart.
Yes.
There's a scene with him and Dan Aykroyd where they're aiming guns at each other in a restaurant. And getting, by the way, a egg white omelet with nothing in it. Fuck you. Like, there's different things. I'm just like,
he is. It's so funny to me that like she would actually get back together with him. I'm like, she's actually way cooler and too good for him. And you can tell he's a fucking high maintenance pain in the ass.
You know what? Have sex with him and then just kind of say, you know what, dude, you go back to LA and fix your life.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll talk about it.
Egg white omelet and nothing in it. Well, then, like the woman says, that's not really an omelet.
That's not an omelet, asshole. Like, at least there's some broccoli in there.
I hope you like spit, because she full on spit in your eggs, dude.
It's all that stuff is just so weird. And then it's John Cusack's trainer, Benny Rodriguez.
Yes. His the one he met during, I guess, Say Anything is like a kickboxing trainer.
Yeah.
Plays and then like another hitman.
There's too many hitmen. It seems like, well, there's two of them, but
yeah. It's just, for me, it's the least interesting part. And I realize, like, people love this movie. They love it. And like the black comedy aspect really works for them. And tip of the hat. I'm so glad that you like it. It does not work for me at all. I don't know why. It just never works for me. But I do love the scene where like he comes to her house and like they have like a fun conversation, and when she calls him like, "You're a fucking psycho," and like she kind of like makes her hand talk while she's doing it. That made me laugh out loud. And I was like, he is a fucking psycho. You should not go on a date with him.
But they have chemistry. Like, it's totally believable. I totally believe, like, they go off to have sex in the science room or whatever that is. Like, I totally buy it. I'm totally on board with it. I get it. I get, like, their chemistry. But then, like, he kills that guy at the reunion. Yeah. And then Jeremy Piven helps him take the body out. And,
that scene's fucked up. I'm like, now you've dragged this poor real estate agent into your shit, and now he is traumatized for the rest of his life with
when he finally meets that hot girl and she's dancing with him the whole time. Yeah. And by the way, if you ever want to see a scene that does not look like they're actually carrying a body, like they're just throwing a mannequin, check this scene. They're not stressing nothing. I saw this movie twice, you guys. Because I was so grumpy about it the first time. I decided to wait till I was in a better mood. I watched it again. And there's things I really like. The soundtrack is great.
Yes. The soundtrack
is spot on.
It's super awesome. I mean, there's not a false note in here. It's really great.
Right.
And I like I said, I do really like them together. Mm-hmm. And I do like a lot of the stuff at the reunion. I just, like I said, the hitman stuff, like even like just explaining how that happened doesn't work for me. Like he says to her, like, I had to join the army. I know it doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, you had to do it the night of the prom. What the fuck? And he's right. It doesn't make any sense. Why did he have to join the army? Why?
They never explain it. No. And his mother, there's a whole scene where his mother has dementia and she's Barbara Harris, R.I.P. That was her last role. And then he just leaves her. He doesn't go back and visit her or anything. Who's taking care of that? And then I guess he is. And then, but his father's dead. But what does his father have to do with anything? Like he pours whiskey on his father's grave. And
yeah. So I guess they had like a really shitty family life, which sure, a lot of people do, but that doesn't mean they have to go join the army and become hitmen. So I guess I needed just a little bit more.
I needed more backstory, and you don't get it. You have no idea or that he's alone. I don't know. I don't get it. And then Joan Cusack is criminally not used enough. I think she could be used a lot better.
Yes.
I think she's always funny in her scenes. Yeah. And I'm glad that he leaves her money in the end. Spoiler.
Oh, we forgot to tell everyone we're spoiling Grosse Pointe Blank.
Yes. What did you think of Dan Aykroyd?
I actually like Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
I think he's good in this. Here's the thing. The cast is game. Like, they're into it. Like, John Cusack, Minnie Driver, Dan Aykroyd, Hank Azaria. I love Hank Azaria. I always think he's underappreciated. I think he's great.
Yes.
Jeremy Piven, I know he's kind of a douche, but he's really good at playing this kind of character. Like, he's really fun. And John Cusack and him are friends, and you can tell, and they have that nice rapport, and everybody's really good in it. It's just, I wish it was a different movie, but then I guess you don't have the Dan Aykroyd character. I actually like Dan Aykroyd in this movie. I
do too. I wish he had more to do too. I just feel like they're underwritten.
Yeah.
And it's just, they're given just a lot of quirks to do. And they're both funny, so let's have them do quirky things.
Right. And I like Dan Aykroyd in supporting roles. I think he usually does really shine in that. Like, have you ever seen the movie Sneakers?
I love Sneakers.
Me too. And I think he's really great in that. River Phoenix is really funny in that. That's such a good movie. We should put that on the list.
We should put that on the list. I was also going to say, is the Birdcage on the list because Hank Azaria is in that.
Yeah, we should definitely. That one is 100% on the list.
Yeah.
Which one would you rather watch, Grosse Pointe Blank or Romy and Michelle?
I haven't seen Romy and Michelle in a long time. I remember not being that into it. I know it has. I know it has its stands. I don't know why. I always thought like that also could have been funnier, and it's not. But I think that Romy, as played by Mira Sorvino, sounds just like Elizabeth Holmes, the Theranos person. So I'd like to see it again just for that reason.
And they both invented the glue for Post-its.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite John Cusack movie? I know that like we're both big fans and like we had crushes on him and stuff. Do you have a favorite?
I love Better Off Dead.
Me too.
Which he doesn't like, apparently. He doesn't like those movies from that time. But I think, and he also did a really weird movie called Tapeheads.
Oh, I love Tapeheads.
I love Tapeheads. That's a bizarre movie, but he's really good at that. I think he's really good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Dude has a weird sense of humor. He's got a weird sense of humor. Very
bizarre sense of humor. And I thought his career would be different. Like it seems to me like he should have like a really hot Netflix show or Amazon show or something. Yeah. And I don't know if he has like a thing against television, he won't do it. But I think if he would, if he had a chance to play a part where he had like 8 episodes or something, he could be really good. But the last time I saw him in a movie at a theater, I think was a movie called Grace Is Gone.
And that sounds familiar.
And it's about a guy whose wife dies in the Iraq War.
Oh, so it's a comedy. And then he's a hitman.
My God. No. So he takes his 2 daughters and he just starts driving around and he doesn't tell them that their mother is dead. And everywhere he drives, people ask him about her.
Oh, cool.
Oh, God. It's so bad. And his acting is terrible.
Oh, that's so depressing.
It's really depressing. That really, I was like, oh, Cusack, what's going on with you? I mean, I just think he wanted to do something serious because he's been doing a lot of Stephen King stuff, The Cell, and there's a few other ones that he's done that are just
1408
crazy. Yep,
like that.
He's good in that. It's crazy.
I loved him in High Fidelity. It's like one of my favorites. I go back to that one a lot, actually, and I love Better Off Dead. And I agree with you. His career isn't where I thought it was going to be. When he did Being John Malkovich, I was like, oh, this is the way he should be going. Like, he should be.
Yes.
But he didn't. Instead, it was like, I don't know. He did like Con Air, which, is fine, but not a John Cusack movie. I don't know. It's weird. His career hasn't gone where I thought it was going to go. And he's not as beloved as his sister is now.
Both of his sisters are in here. The other, is it Amy Cusack?
I think that's right.
And Cusack, sorry.
And then
as Amy.
His dad too, right?
His dad wasn't in this one. He was too sick.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. And his other brother Bill's in here. I'm looking at my other list. Yeah, I there's some great people in here. And it's just, I don't know. I just don't think the script is that tight. I think it needs more work. John
Cusack, I read, thinks that this movie is like a metaphor. Did you read this? For the for the Reagan Bush years.
He's a little pretentious.
Yeah. Especially politically.
Yeah.
Even though I agree with him sometimes, but
he's one of the Bernie bros.
Yeah. Sorry, Bernie bros.
Sorry,
but we're not a fan. I'm not a fan of your work, Bernie bros.
Please don't dox us on Twitter for that.
Please, and keep your dick pics to yourself.
Yes.
And of course this movie ends in a totally lame shootout and ends pretty abruptly.
Yes.
It's just the end.
Yeah, she's in a tub with her father and she's shooting people and they're blowing up her house. Yeah. And then she's and he says, "Will you marry me?"
Yeah. And the dad's like, "You have my blessing."
Like, what? And then they just take off. Once again, she's wearing a terrible outfit. Sorry.
Yes.
But this is it's just, it ends very abruptly. And I think it was more like a lot of attitude here I think there's like sometimes there's a certain level of smugness about the attitude here. Like we're just so clever and doing something so weird and dangerous that sometimes I'm like no, just make a good story.
Yeah. I know, like I said, I know people love it.
I know, I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry, everybody, that we don't. But one of the things that drove me, I know he says it's a metaphor for Reagan Bush years, but I took it more like as these kind of guys that I went out with in college that are so emotionally damaged.
Yeah.
And they play that as like their like defining characteristic. Like,
right.
Oh, no one understands me. I'm so deep. Like somehow being like damaged makes them deep or whatever. Yeah. And then they're not deep and they're just a pain in the ass and they treat you like shit. And sadly, he kind of reminds me of that. So I like Debbie and I don't want her to go out with him. But like I said, they do have really good chemistry. So what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I mean, maybe she gets a better job and lives in LA and leaves him and maybe does something better.
Gets a proper radio station job.
Yes. Not when she's out in the public. I tell you, it made me so upset sometimes. I'm like, that's dangerous. That's dangerous shit,
it's
girl.
So weird. Isn't that what they do in like Northern Exposure too? Isn't he like?
Yes.
It's so weird.
Yes,
it's
Chris.
like a Northern Exposure station.
Yeah.
You know, I did radio for a little while when I was a TV critic. I used to go on one of the local stations here, KGO, and talk about TV with Ron Owens. Do you know Ron Owens?
Oh yeah, of course.
Inevitably, like people would call in and ask Ron like what I look like.
Ugh.
Stuff like that. And like Ron was always really like funny about it, like because they would just say like, how old is Sonia? You know, she seems like she's really young, and he's like, they want to know if you're hot.
Oh God.
You know, and he's like, you know, what a creep, basically. Dudes are weird.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Did you have any favorite songs on the soundtrack? Or maybe any that were your favorites back in the day, too? Because these are all like 80s hits.
I liked, it's like Blister in the Sun, of course. That always works for me. Take On Me always works for me. White Lines is perfect.
I love that song.
White Lines is that song that they should have played in the Steven Spielberg movie about the 80s. I'm all of a sudden blanking. It came out.
Oh, Ready Player One?
Ready Player One, yeah. They have a whole scene where they dance to Saturday Night Fever. And I'm like, no, guys, it should have been this song, White Lines. I'm always correcting things. What was your favorite?
Well, my favorite now is Let My Love Open the Door. But that wasn't my favorite at the time. I definitely loved Mirror in the Bathroom by English Beat. That was one of the ones that I super loved. And I love Let It Whip by the Dazz Band.
Yes, that's the best song.
I like that kind of like late 70s, early 80s, like kind of funk pop stuff. It totally
that roller disco stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It totally roller disco is an excellent way to put this.
Yeah.
So I'm really sorry, you guys. We didn't really like this one.
No.
I won't be rewatching this one anytime soon. But John Cusack, he is very dreamy in it.
Yeah.
He's very hunky. He's a very handsome man, and Minnie Driver's great, and they have lots of great chemistry. So please, if you're listening, John Cusack and Minnie Driver, make another movie together.
Please, please, please. We're dying for it.
We would love to see that one. Do you want to hear about the top 10 movies of 1997?
I certainly do.
Okay. There's some pretty interesting ones on this list. Number 10 is The Full Monty.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. Number 9, The Fifth Element, a movie that everyone loves but me.
Me too.
Okay, well, let's put that on the list. Number 8, I know this is your favorite, My Best Friend's Wedding. She doesn't like it, you guys.
You know what? Listen to F This Movie, that episode. That Patrick and I covered it. We have our reasons, just so that.
I think that's one of the first ones I heard you, and I tweeted to you, and I was like, that chick fucking gets it, which will be our other podcast, This Chick Fucking Gets It. Number 7, Liar Liar with Jim Carrey.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah, I think that one's funny, actually. Number 6, As Good as It Gets.
I hate that one.
Oh me too. Oh my God.
I hate this movie so much.
Are we the same person?
Honest to God, yeah, I think we are.
Everyone loved that movie, and I was like, I saw a totally different movie. I hate that movie.
I heard people. I was in a theater and I heard sniffling, and I looked around, and people were openly crying at a scene that I wanted to throw my drink at the screen. And they were all like, I was like, this is so fucking phony. Oh, this is such
Margo,
bullshit. I don't know.
If you could see me, I'm like rocking back and forth in my seat. I'm so excited that we have met each other because you are my soulmate. You are the only other person I know who hates this movie. That's going on the list.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay. Number 5 is Air Force One. That's an entertaining
remember
one.
that. Yeah.
Number 4, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Okay.
Number 3, Men in Black.
I love Men in Black.
Yeah, that one's awesome. Number 2, The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Nah.
Fuck that movie. And number 1, Titanic.
I do like Titanic.
And I like Titanic too.
Yeah,
that's one that's cool to hate.
Feat.
It's cool to hate it, but I super love it. I don't give a shit what anyone says.
You know what? It has a great story.
It does.
It really has a great story and it has great touches, and he directs beautiful films.
Yeah. And once it hits the iceberg, that movie is so goddamn exciting. The minute it hits the iceberg.
I saw that in a theater in New York City that had it was a huge theater, and I think it had a little over 1,100 seats.
Wow.
And it was packed. It was like New Year's Day or something. And my friend, I was watching it, looks at me and says, "Oh my God, this many people died on that ship." I know. So that really added to the whole thing. I would love to talk about Titanic anytime.
Yeah, we should definitely put that one on the list.
We should do that list.
I think that one is a really interesting movie because, like I said, I know people like to shit on it, but I think it is a little long, and I understand some of the criticisms, but I also think it's really well made, and there's some shit in there where I was like, that's fucking smart as hell, and I think it's a good movie.
I agree. Okay, so would you like to hear the top songs of 1997?
Yes.
You're gonna it's gonna be like a time warp. You're gonna freak out. Okay. Semi-Charmed Life, Third Eye Blind. Do you remember that song?
Oh yes. I saw Third Eye Blind in concert.
Oh, they're from the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, I went to well, you probably know this. There's a radio station here called Live 105. You know it.
I know it.
They do a concert every summer called BFD. And, and Third Eye Blind was one of the bands, so I've seen them.
And then we have Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
That song is catchy as fuck.
I'll Be Missing You, Sean Combs. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. That's his Notorious B.I.G. tribute song. Yep.
Bop by Hanson.
That song is, I don't care. I love that song. I don't care what people say.
Too.
I just heard it yesterday. I love it.
Bittersweet Symphony, The Verve.
Oh, that's a good one too. This really is a time warp.
This is Barbie Girl by Aqua.
Oh, I don't like that one.
Yeah, it's annoying. Building a Mystery, Sarah McLachlan.
I love that song too. Oh my gosh.
And Walking on the Sun, Smash Mouth.
I really like that song too.
Yeah, me too. Doesn't it bring up so many memories though?
It does. And it's funny because I'm like, oh, this is when I still listen to the radio. That's why I know so many of those songs. Because if you did like the top 10 songs right now, I would know any of them. I wouldn't know one song. I am 100% convinced I wouldn't know a song from the top 10 right now.
When I worked in retail, all through college. They always play like the top 40 station.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? So I would know every single song. And then when I was here, I had an evening weekend job where I worked at a sun tanning salon kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
And they played that kind of music. And for a while I was super hip on music.
Yeah.
And then I left that and like, I don't know anything that's happening.
No, I mean, the minute I got a smartphone and could listen to podcasts, I kind of just stopped listening to the radio. So now I just don't know. And then for a while, I really loved the show So You Think You Can Dance. And I was watching that. And it was kind of my only introduction to what was cool. Like they would dance to certain songs that were popular. And that was but I don't even watch that anymore. And now we're in a whole sidetrack. But I remember the song Call Me Maybe.
Yeah.
Everyone and their fucking brother was talking about that song. And I was like, I don't even know what song you're talking about.
Okay.
And everyone's like, you're ridiculous.
All about the bass. I had that with All About the Bass. And all my students were asking, like, how come you're not playing that song in this class? I'm like, what is it? I created a universe where I never heard that song. It's bizarre.
That was me with that. I heard Call Me Maybe like a year later or something. Oh. And it was because it was on So You Think You Could Dance.
Yeah, I have to, I listen to Sarah and Vinny.
Yeah.
Online. I can listen to, that's a Bay Area station. So they play, I mean, they're not like super popular hits, it's like mom hits, but
yeah, it's mom rock. It's mom rock.
But every once in a while they had somebody in their studio the day, and she goes by the name Her.
I don't know who that
exactly.
is.
And I don't know who she is either. And she won the Grammy, and she's like a big fucking deal. So I actually went online and looked her up, and I was like, oh wow, I learned something cool today. Like I could bring up like, oh, I heard Her the other day.
Yeah, I 100% rely on word of mouth at this point.
Yeah.
Like somebody else hears something and then they'll say, you will like blank, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'll listen to it. That's the only way. Or movie soundtracks.
Yeah.
That's the only way I connect with anything now.
Same here.
By the way, speaking of Sarah and Vinny, now I'm just going to start talking about whatever I want now. Since you listen online and you probably listened back in the day too, did you ever listen when they had Tiffany on from like the 80s pop singer?
No.
She went on a few times and she would sing songs like acoustically, and she was so good and so beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, Tiffany, what happened? Like
she had a couple of chances to relaunch her career.
Yeah.
Like every few years somebody like gets her in the studio and she writes her own music, and she's really nice and she has a beautiful voice, and just for whatever reason, like people just want to stick her and Debbie Gibson in 1988 and leave them there.
Yeah. She did a cover of the Eagles' Desperado that I was like, oh my God, she's so talented. I can't believe that like she's not still a thing. And then she just went away and never saw her again.
Right.
Oh, Tiffany.
Oh, Tiffany.
So what else are you dorking out about?
Well, I want to talk about something you and I both saw this week on Netflix, which is Beyonce's special.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what is it titled?
Homecoming.
It was amazing. It's her performance at Coachella, which I have no interest in going to concerts anymore.
No, I'm too old for that. I don't want to stand.
I'm too old for that.
Especially festival concerts. I'm like, pass.
No way.
I don't want to use porta potties, and I don't want to wait in line for food. I'm fucking old.
I'm too old for that shit.
I did like that seats.
I've been through Lollapalooza more times than I can count. I've been through all that shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sonia in her 20s would have been like, sure, I'll totally go to Coachella. But now I'm like, what? No.
I'll walk around for 6 hours.
That sounds great.
Eat garbage food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I'm like, that sounds like hell.
Yeah. So Beyonce did us all a favor for all of us old people. And she did her show and she recorded it. And I would actually love to be in that audience to see it because they are losing their goddamn minds. I'm so happy for these people that get to see her.
I know.
Because they love her so much. Like they deserve that. I think she's incredible.
Yeah. It just blew me away. You get to see the footage of the concert, but you also get to see like her like putting it together and like working with the dancers and working on herself too. And I think that's one of the things her work ethic is fucking bananas. Bananas. I feel like the laziest piece of shit. I was like, I'm wasting my life. She is working all the time. She's got like, at the time of this filming, she's got like a 6-year-old, I think, and like twin babies. And she's got, like 6 months to get her shit together before Coachella. And she's busting her ass to like lose the pregnancy weight, get back in shape. Like, and she's really honest. Like, I'm not in shape. I'm not where I should be. And like, she goes on like a hardcore diet and she's just working out. And you see her like working on the choreography. And she makes... When you watch the show, it looks easy, and then you watch them put the work into it, and you're like, that shit ain't easy. She busts her ass. And I saw people on Twitter saying she's overrated, and I'm like, fuck you. You need to watch this shit.
Nothing makes you happy if you say that about her. Like, there's no pleasing you. You're just an asshole. You're just a miserable asshole. No, and all the components that have to come together, because she's got a drumming section, there's horns, there's several dancers on different platforms, and she's singing the whole time.
Yeah.
And dancing her ass off. And then she had Destiny's Child there. I got super excited about that. I just thought it was incredible.
It just blew me away, and I need to watch it again. I want to watch it again. I need to. I have to.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it again.
There's one other thing I'm dorking out about. Last night, I watched for the first time the documentary Grey Gardens.
That's your first time?
Yeah, I had never seen it. And so I got the new Criterion channel, and there's just so many movies on there. It's positively overwhelming. Like, you sign on and you're like, holy shit, like everything I need to see is on here. Like everything I want to see, everything I should have seen by now is on here. And that's one of them. So we watched it last night, and I was like, now I'm just totally dorking out about it. And I was like reading Wikipedia pages last night afterwards, trying to learn everything. Cause I'm like, what? Where's her hair? Why is she wearing those scarves? I'm like, how did they get this way? And I have things I need to do. I need to like go and watch the TV movie with Drew Barrymore and Jessica Lange.
I saw the play. They had a musical on Broadway, and it was incredible. It was great music. John Hodgman tells a story that he was in Long Island. He was in the Hamptons for a party. And then at one point he looked around and realized he was in the Grey Gardens house. That it was bought by the Washington Post.
Yeah,
owner.
Brad Bailey?
No, Ben Bradley.
Ben Bradley. God, I'm so close.
You were very close. You're almost there. And that's where they reformed it, remodeled it and all that stuff, and made it raccoon free. It's incredible the way these women live. It's just astonishing.
Throughout the documentary, I was like, why? What? Huh? Why are they That was me the whole time.
And so John Hodgman said he was like sipping tea from a cup, I believe it was. And then he looked and there were initials on the bottom and it said EB. And it was Edie Bouvier. And he said he almost spazzed out. Like, he just like, oh my God, we're in that house. Don't you just like constantly want to wrap your head around, like a scarf around your head and dance? I mean, she's like, that's like, she's either, people have said like, oh, it's so sad to see her Edie like this. I'm like, I feel like she's living her best life, like in a way, like she does whatever the hell she wants. And what about like the cab driver that helps them out around the house?
Yeah. It's such a weird documentary. And I'm like I said, I'm just kind of freaking out about it now. I'm like, well, how did they get this way? Like, are they like mentally ill, or are they like happy this way? I don't understand. And because the whole time, like, little Edie's like, I have to get out of here, and I, basically ditched my life so that I could take care of Mom. And I was like, but did she really, or is she just saying that? I need to know more. More.
And that's what it should do. Like a really good documentary. You just want more and more. And how, like, when they show you those flashbacks to them when they were both young.
Oh my God.
How beautiful they were.
So beautiful.
Oh my God. And just all the men, like France fell, but Edie never fell. Like, there's little lines that are always just like, Edie says at one point, it's such a thin line between the past and the present. And she's so right.
Yeah.
Like,
I need to watch the episode of Documentary Now.
Yes.
What's it called? Sandy Passage or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I'll get it. That's actually something we're thinking about doing, is starting to watch the documentaries and then follow it up with the episode from Documentary Now.
So it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, cause like I had never seen Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads doc, and I watched it recently, like a month ago or something. And then we watched the episode of Documentary Now about it. So now I think this is going to be like one of our things. And I'm into it. Is there anything else you're dorking out about?
No, that's it for me.
Okay. Where can people find you on the internet?
The best place to find me on social media is on Twitter and Instagram, and that's at Brooklyn Fitchick. And you can check out my blog, brooklynfitchick.com.
And you can find me at thesoniashow.com and on Twitter at thesoniashow. And you can dork out everywhere at dorkingout.com and Dorking Out Show on Twitter and Facebook. And you guys, it'd be awesome if you wanted to leave us a review. We'd love a review. All the reviews are from the old host.
Right. We need reviews.
We need
Apple
reviews.
Podcasts.
Yeah, go to Apple Podcasts and talk about how much you love Margo and how I'm just okay. No. But that would be awesome if you guys could do that for us. We would do it for your podcast. And this was super fun as always. I'm so glad that this was a good request because there was a lot to talk about. So thank you, Binksy.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Really good pick, and we'll chat later. I don't even have something clever to end on.
No, nor do I. I'm trying to think of something from this movie, and I'm still just focused on my two friends that wanted to leave the movie midway through.
I'll just say maybe you guys don't kill anybody for a few days and see how you feel.